Ah, Ryan Coogler. Now that's a director we've all become familiar with over the last 10 years or so. Everything from Fruitvale Station starring Michael B. Jordan to Creed, which stars Michael B. Jordan, to Black Panther with Michael B. Jordan, all the way up to the current year. Sinners starring, you guessed it,
Ooh, that's a bingo.
Michael B. Jordan. The question is, does it live up to all the hype? Well, grab your wooden stakes and holy water. Let's talk about it. Before I get into this, and feel free to skip to this time code if you don't want to hear my nonsense, I want to give a quick thank you to everyone that has been so supportive of the channel these past few months. In just the last month alone, we've welcomed 1,000, yes, you heard that correctly, 1,000 new members to the Toller team and amassed over 100,000 views. So for that, thank y'all. I actually applied to become a YouTube partner yesterday morning, and whenever they decide to grace me with their presence and accept my application, we'll start doing live streams, collaborations, you know, all that stuff. Look at me, Mom, I'm a YouTuber now.
Ha! Gay!
Anyway, with that being said, let's get into what you're here for. A review of Sinners. Spoiler free, of course.
Whoa, whoa. Here I come. Oh, here I come. Oh.
A quick note I want to make here before we get down to the nitty gritty is an obvious question some of you might have. Is this film racially motivated?
No, you done got me talking politics. I didn't wanna.
Simply put, yes. Racial inequality or equality or equity, all the words surrounding the racial conversation are on full display here, and Sinner doesn't pull its punches. The white folks are racist to the black folks, with numerous references to plantations and the YouTube guidelines here. The letters that come after JJJ. You know, funny robes, even funnier hats, those people.
Damn. I can't see fucking shit out of this thing.
But there's an equal amount of racism from the opposing side, where the black brothers won't let white people into their establishment on the mere merit that they're white, and the constant use of the word cracker. I wouldn't say Sinners beats you over the head with social messaging. After all, this is the 1930s and it's pretty true to the time, but it brought it up enough that I almost hit my tipping point. Is it egregious and blatant? Yes. Is it excessive at times? Yes. But I think there's enough substance here that race falls to the background for a large portion of the film. Now, let me do my short plot synopsis before this video gets too damn long. Sinners has us following the story of the twin Smokestack brothers, played by Michael B. Jordan and, Michael B. Jordan. I should have seen that one coming. Anyway, the brothers are back in town after a long stint in Chicago. I know that because the film mentions it at least 60 times, looking to open up a bar where black folks from all around can come, dance, and drink the night away. They're joined by a blues hopeful, the gifted artist Preacher Boy Sammy, portrayed by Miles Catton, and a slew of friends from back home. Everyone from an old musician Slim, played by Delroy Lindo, to Omar Benson Miller as Cornbread, and a few folks in between. The night is going well, with beer and music aplenty, when suddenly a mysterious group of white folks from the countryside show up at the front door, demanding to be let inside.
Gentlemen, you have my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
The first thing I want to bring up is not only the musical score that exists throughout the entire film, but just the amount of music that's here altogether. See, Sinners is heavily influenced by the surge of blues and bluegrass, which is consistent with the historical period in which it's set. I can make an argument that this film is very much a musical, with numerous numbers from Slim, Preacher Boy Sammy, and even the antagonist Remick, who is played by Jack O'Connell. Not a scene goes by where there's not some sort of musical number being played in the background, and the music is actually the central point of quite a few scenes all by itself. There's enough variety here, alright, combined with the outstanding vocal performances, that the music never really overstates its welcome. The Smokestack brothers were in Chicago, by the way. Secondly, in a film that stars very talented veteran actors like Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan, they're actually not the standouts. Nope, Miles Catton is. What's even more impressive is that while doing background on who he was, because he was that brilliant, I was surprised when I found nothing. Nada. Zero. This is literally his first feature film, which makes his emotional, both physically and vocally, performance that much more impressive. That's not saying Lindo and Jordan did bad, not by any means. They're as solid as ever, but Catton commands the screen anytime he's around, and I'm actually really excited to see yet another fresh, young face get their start in the horror genre.
Prost.
Thirdly, and I'll sum this one up pretty quickly so I don't drone on for too long, this film is beautiful from a cinematic standpoint. It's shot extremely well, most of the sets appear to be practical instead of CGI, and the lighting gave the film this gritty, old-fashioned feel. It complemented the rest of the aesthetic. However, there's some pretty big negatives that I've got to mention.
You will?
Sinners is entirely too damn long. Holy hell. With a runtime of almost 2.5 hours, you definitely start feeling it about midway through the film. See, Sinners is split into 3 different segments. You've got the first segment, which is getting to know our characters, their backstories, and what they'll be providing to the brothers' bar. The brothers were in Chicago, by the way. Sinners tries its hardest to make you care about so many people and storylines when, frankly, all I cared about is Preacher Boy Sammy. I don't give a crap about Smoke having some big titty voodoo woman that he's banging. I don't care about that one white girl who's just trying to get her cheeks clapped by Stack. The Asians, the ones that own the general store, they had odd southern accents, by the way. That just completely creeped me out. But anyway, I didn't need a 5-minute scene about them making damn signs for the bar. I get that Sinners was trying to expand everyone's storyline out as much as they could, so that we related to them and we cared for them. But all it did was add to the 20 or so minutes that could have been shaved off to begin with. For God's sakes, I've been joking about this for most of the review. I didn't need to hear everyone's opinion on the brothers being in Chicago either. I'm actually pretty sure they said the word Chicago more than they did vampire. And this is a vampire film. Speaking of this being a vampire film, there's not much vampire here. See, we do a long crawl of character exploration, conversations about Chicago. The Smokestack brothers were in Chicago, by the way. One very long musical number that puts 1,000 people on my screen. I mean, seriously, the music is great. Let me make that clear. But there's one scene about halfway through Sinners where it looks like Doc and Marty McFly went to the past and future to nab up a bunch of musical artists to try to push a particular plot point. There's monks, there's tribalists, there's women twerking, there's a DJ. It looked like Jimi Hendrix was there. I'm pretty sure I saw Vanilla Ice. And it was all to illustrate that certain people could open up the doorway to life and death through their music. That's what sets all this off, by the way. The vampire guy knows Preacher Boy Sammy is a good musician. So good, I guess he can apparently open up a doorway or something, and he decides to seek him out. Why? No clue. That's one thing they don't delve a whole lot into. Something about seeing someone who died or something. Hell if I know. Which, by the way, how did the vampire guy even know Preacher Boy Sammy was a good musician? Sinners is a lot like The Devil Went Down to Georgia, in that an evil entity visits a musician in order to strike some kind of deal with them. But that's the devil. He knows pretty much everything. Do vampires know everything too? There's a bunch of traditional vampire traits here, like having to be invited in, garlic, silver, steaks being their weaknesses, but I must have skimmed over the part where they can magically teleport to people that they don't even know exist to begin with. Anyway, there's not a lot of vampires here, that's what I'm trying to say, nor is there really any horror elements at all. Hell, the biggest scare comes in a scene with a snake that jumps out at you, and there's not a vampire in sight. Nah, whatever, let's just get this over and done with. So, we happy?
You were saying something about best intentions?
For those of you who've been following the channel for a while, I'm introducing a new rating, which I'm going to call Best Intentions. That means I didn't love this film, nor did I hate it. It's kind of in the middle. I think the positives of the performances, the style, the way it was shot, all those positives are balanced out with just as many negatives. We take entirely too damn long to get where we're going. The central reason for the plot happening doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and the lack of traditional horror elements, despite adopting traditional vampire characteristics, is pretty damn aggravating. So, in my opinion, I'd wait to stream this thing instead of gambling your money at the local cinema. Anyway, I appreciate you all for checking out my review. I'll talk to y'all later.